Welcome, guys. This is another edition of Tiffincast. Today we have a Canadian photographer, Martin Prihoda, now living in Mumbai, India. Welcome, Martin. How are you doing?
Hey, Seshu, doing great.
Terrific, terrific. A few questions for you, Martin. One of the questions I had, first of all, when I heard that you'd moved to India, was like, wow, a Canadian moving to India and working in Mumbai. Why and how come?
Well, I guess I get asked that question a lot, and I'd have to say there's a couple different reasons. The first being I had been to India a few years before, and I really enjoyed the culture. I really enjoyed the people. Also, I took a look at a few emerging markets in the world that I wanted to explore, and Mumbai was definitely one of them. I felt that my style of photography would be appreciated there, and it's a booming market. The country's growing. There's lots of work, and it was a great decision. Actually, I've been here 3 years, and I've been working consistently nonstop. So it was the right move.
Terrific. Now, I've seen some of your work that you've actually shared with me privately from magazines and personal projects. How have you sort of gotten into the groove of working with those magazines or agencies or both?
Well, my first probably 6 months here was all networking and all getting out and meeting people and learning about who's who. And then after you start to make the networks and the connections and people like your work, you start to work pretty consistently. I was pretty lucky. There's a couple of things I needed to sort of change about my photography a little bit because India is obviously a different market. It has different sensibilities, different sensitivities about what is acceptable to photograph in sort of the mainstream magazine and advertising world. So, but I'm pretty adaptable and, I'm pretty easy to work with. I like to think I am. So I just developed those relationships and, everything kind of went from there. And really it's about developing relationships with the celebrities because they sort of drive the entire industry here.
Terrific. So did you have to shop around your book, or did you just sort of launch right into doing a big name, cinema star, and then decided, okay, well, that person's going to introduce you to somebody else, and on and on and on? How did it go?
Nothing will get you work faster here than if you have a lot of celebrities on your show reel, on your portfolio. So that was kind of my, that was my goal, is to get as much of that type of work as I could. And I ended up shooting a Bollywood star named Priyanka Chopra for her website, which was kind of a fluke how that came about. It came out about through a friend of a friend of a friend type thing. And once that shoot was done, I took those images basically to all the big magazines, to Elle, to Vogue, to GQ, and everything just kind of rolled from there once I had that little bit of credibility in the Indian market. And once you have that, the advertising stuff starts to come in because the celebrities all endorse brands. They all, they're all photographed on the covers of the magazines. So, it really is geared around the celebrity.
That's terrific. Let's talk a little bit about your technique and lighting. I mean, you're known for your lighting. Am I right?
Yes.
What
I think so.
what differentiates your lighting from the others in the industry right now? I mean, what is it that you bring to it that's special, you think?
Well, I think what's always attracted me about the style of photography that I shoot is the way you can capture a very dramatic image. Specifically portraiture. So what I tend to do is I tend to underexpose the background and, basically match the exposure of the subject with the exposure, with that underexposed background. So I'll take a look at a background scene, I'll shoot a background plate, get my exposure to where I want it, and then I'll simply match the light onto the subject's face with an artificial light source, like as a strobe or sometimes even continuous light.
Wonderful.
So what I find that does is that it creates more information in the image, actually, because nothing's getting blown out, and it actually also creates a scenario that the eye isn't accustomed to in real life, in reality. So there is this dramatic sense of heightened surrealism, so to speak. Like you look at the image and it really pops out.
Right, right.
And I really enjoy shooting that way. I also enjoy natural light quite a bit. more and more so. But this particular light I've been doing for a while, mixing ambient light with strobe light outdoors on location in hard to reach areas is kind of what I really love.
Now, as you and I know, we've tried to chat and record our interview here at least 2 or 3 times now, and I've asked you this question about lighting, where I always remember the video of you carrying just an incredible number of bags of pro photo gear into the field. You obviously rent all that right now. And you have people helping you carry that for you and things like that. So all you have to do is pretty much show up, shoot it, and then work with only the image, I guess, right?
That's the beautiful thing about India, is that you've got lots of help around.
That's awesome.
I get kind of spoiled in a way because there is so much help. I do rent a lot of the gear, and that makes sense for me, because what happens is I'll shoot internationally. Like, for example, I was on a shoot in Cape Town 3 weeks ago. Now I'm flying to Australia next week. So it makes much more sense for me to have production crews on the ground in those countries. I call them up. I say, I need this lighting gear, this lighting gear. I basically just fly in with my Mark II and a couple of hard drives. And, depending on if I'm shooting medium format or not, my Mark II might even just be a behind the scenes camera. So it just worked out easier that way for me than to actually own all the stuff and then truck it around the world.
That's awesome. Well, it's a great approach to obviously also running a business, right? So it's
it keeps things light. So,
yeah.
I mean, the beauty about owning your own gear and working in the way I do is that you can still hire out and bill your gear as if it was rental gear, right? And for the photographers that are listening that have their own gear that are working for clients, they should absolutely be billing out their gear as a separate cost.
That's great advice. Thank you. One of the things that you and I have also talked about is your workshops. You teach photography, you teach lighting.
I do.
And tell us a little bit about your workshops.
I do teach lighting. I've got the workshop series is called Big Lights Far Away. And the reason I call it that, I explain in the workshop. It has a lot to do with different lighting techniques, inverse square law, which I try to break down into a bite-sized sort of form. But I do teach. What I aim to do is sort of bridge that gap between advanced amateur and professional. So I get a lot of advanced photographers in my class. That's what it's geared towards. But it's usually people that don't have a ton of experience with a lot of big gear. So there's that kind of fear factor of I've been shooting natural light for a long time. I may have used like a 500 watt second head here and there, but I've never used a big 7/8 pack with 3 heads attached and rim lights and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy getting students out into the sun, sometimes into the desert, and really key shifting the ambient light down and just throwing this amazing light onto their subjects and just watching their faces go, whoa, okay, where's this been all my life?
Yeah.
The other thing I try to do really is inspire students to make their photography better and to keep going with what they're doing, because I do find that just staying inspired is also quite a challenge in photography. It's a competitive world. It's a dog-eat-dog world. All the doom and gloom about the economy. It's a challenge just to keep your creative juices flowing. So I really try to inspire people as well, as in the way that I would like to be inspired.
Definitely. When are your next workshops, Martin?
I've got a workshop happening in Australia next week. I believe that's February 24th, 2012. And then I fly pretty much straight to Dubai for Gulf Photo Plus. So I'll be teaching with, Zach, Arias, Joe McNally, David Hobby, and all those guys. So
wonderful.
I'm in some pretty good company there.
That's awesome. That's great. And I hope you do come back to the North American continent and teach here in the U.S.
I'd love to.
So
I'd love to check things out. You guys are in Hartford, right?
Yeah. I'm in Hartford, and we've talked about hopefully having a workshop somewhere between Boston and New York. And hey, Hartford is in between in Boston and New York. So hopefully we'll make that happen, man.
Yeah, I'm planning one in the Bahamas as well. I just don't know when.
Awesome. Keep me posted.
I will.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Martin. Appreciate your time again.
Super.
Take
Thanks
care,
a
buddy.
lot. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.